Tensions between India and Pakistan are on the brink of war. What happened now? India said it was targeting its terrorists. First of all, it bombed a number of locations in Pakistan's Bahawalpur and Azad Kashmir regions. The death toll is rising. There are various statements from both sides. Let's get back to Ada. What happened? What's been going on since last night? Shh, Ada.
Now, mine actually, until an hour ago, the death toll from the Pakistani side was 8. But with one statement after another, it has risen to 31. 26 were killed in missile attacks by India. 5 of them are said to have lost their lives in clashes on the border, on that Kashmir border. India also says that 7 people were killed in clashes on that border. There are more than 30 injured. So we can say that there are casualties on both sides. Now, how did it all happen and how did it start? Last night, India actually launched a missile attack on Pakistan and called it Operation Synindor. And the Indian side is saying that we understand from the latest statements. We only found terrorist targets. We didn't specifically target civilian settlements. We didn't target Pakistani military bases. We only hit terrorist bases. But there are mosques that were hit in Kashmir. We know that at least 2 mosques were hit and 13 people were killed in one of those mosques. Now, when we talk about the tensions between India and Pakistan, of course, Kashmir is at the center of all the developments. I will elaborate on that in a moment. First of all, it is known that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been following the operation all night. They say we targeted at least 9 places. On the other hand, Pakistan said that, of course, there was an immediate response, so there was a mutual tension there again. And Pakistan's claim is that we shot down 5 fighter jets belonging to India. But there is no statement from India confirming this yet. The Pakistani defense minister said that the flow of water is our red line, and if this happens in the future, wars may break out over water. He also made a statement like this. If Modi takes irresponsible steps like Netanyahu, Pakistan will respond in a way that history will remember. Now, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has already said that we will respond when and where we see fit. Now, in fact, Pakistan and India now seem to be in a spiral of retaliation, just like we were talking about a few months ago with Iran and Israel. Now, why is India the retaliatory party in this retaliatory spiral? Here is how it started. On April 22, a terrorist attack took place in Kashmir in the area under Indian control. A bus carrying Hindu tourists was targeted, and India directly blamed Pakistan for this attack. So the militants in Pakistan who carried out this attack He said they were linked to the Pakistani government. Pakistan said no, there is no such thing. Pakistan even said it is a false flag operation. But India, he didn't provide any clear evidence that Pakistan was behind this attack. In the meantime, diplomatic steps were taken, representatives were withdrawn, visa procedures were suspended, and on the one hand, India did this. India suspended the Hindustan Water Agreement. That's why we are talking about this today. Will the 2 nuclear powers face each other because of the water crisis? Let me briefly mention the Hindustan Water Treaty here. The Hindustan River is actually a river with 6 tributaries. 3 are managed by Pakistan and 3 by India. This is an agreement brokered by the World Bank in 1960. Now, India says, I will cut off this water. Now, Pakistan water is very important because it is an agricultural country. It is very important for its economy. Hindustan River is very important for Pakistan's economy. And here we should not limit the water crisis only to this. Why is it important? If Pakistan cannot get enough water, it cannot generate electricity. If electricity is not generated, factories cannot function. So the whole economy of the country will collapse. We are talking about such a scenario. That's why we are talking that the water crisis could turn into a war. Now, we also see Kashmir, which is at the center of the tension here, on the map. It is a region surrounded by nuclear powers on 3 sides, India, Pakistan, and China. And this is not a new crisis. It is a crisis that has been unresolved since 1947. Now, Kashmir is a very strategic region, home to 20 million people. On one side is the Indian-controlled territory. The area under Indian control is the most densely populated area. There is the area under Pakistani control, and there is also China involved in this. And why is Kashmir important for China? China's Belt Road project also passes through Kashmir. So while we are talking about this tension between India and Pakistan, we cannot keep America and China out of it. So we are talking about a point where the eyes of all global powers are turned, and what do we know? The rapidly developing relations between Pakistan and China. On the one hand, there are rapidly developing relations between America and India. Now, we should not forget that while we are talking about Kashmir today, these developments are taking place in the shadow of this. On the one hand, there is the ongoing war in Ukraine. There is Israel's ongoing massacre in Gaza. There is the Iran-Israel tension. So about 2 weeks ago, the National Interest published an analysis. It says this: the American Navy is bogged down in the Middle East quagmire. America's focus right now is on the Middle East, Iran, Israel, Ukraine, all of which it cannot solve. But China is focused on one region. China is focused on the Indo-Pacific. Therefore, when we look at the US-China rivalry here, this is a very important development in terms of China taking advantage of this confusion, this instability, and reducing America's influence in Asia against America. Now, when Trump was asked 2 weeks ago about the tension between India and Pakistan, Trump replied that there has been tension between these two for 1,500 years. He said, "I believe it will be resolved." Now, yesterday, when he was asked about it, he reacted by saying, "It's a shame, and I hope this problem will be solved as soon as possible." Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also been in contact with the national security representatives of both sides. So, of course, America is closely following the developments. There was also a statement from the Chinese Foreign Ministry. There was a call for restraint from both sides. On the other hand, Emine is wondering about the name of the operation Synindor. Why Synindor? Yes, that's exactly what it is. Now, in Hindu culture, the red color that married women wear on their foreheads symbolizes this Synindor, and it refers to this. In this terrorist attack in Kashmir, some women lost their husbands in front of their eyes. It is said that the name Synindor was given to refer to this. Today, Pakistan's National Security Council will meet. Of course, the decisions that will come out of there are important. Pakistan also said that we have informed the United Nations authorities. But let's say that when India announced the suspension of this agreement with the Hindustanis, Pakistan had already said that I would consider this as a casus belli. That is an act of war. So now there is a spiral of retaliation. Well, this spiral of retaliation is already seen as dangerous because we are talking about two nuclear powers. So there is something like this on both sides. The last time we witnessed conflicts between India and Pakistan was in 2019. But since 2019, both sides have made military investments. India bought Rafales, one of the most important and powerful fighter jets of the West. What has Pakistan done? It has bought China's most advanced fighter jets. So they strengthened their hand. So at the last point, one wonders, what about India now? A little bit of this comment is being made. India took advantage of this confused situation in the world and created an excuse to attack Pakistan when everyone's attention was on a different point. I think with America behind it, that's how it took action. Because nobody was questioning at the time. I mean, when India was taking these aggressive steps without providing any clear evidence. Well, Modi, let me also remind you that it is a security weakness for Modi that that terrorist attack took place in Kashmir on Indian-controlled territory. Therefore, there was an increasing pressure on Modi to retaliate, especially among Hindu nationalist politicians within India. So this retaliation was already expected. Yes, but now can Modi afford an all-out war? Here too, the interpretation is this. Yes, India has a much bigger economy compared to Pakistan, so its investment in defense spending is much higher, but still the necessary steps have not been taken in the modernization process of the army. Therefore, there is also talk that Modi may hesitate to take a step that would expose his own shortcomings in the army by engaging in such an all-out war. But in any case, we are talking about a tension between two nuclear powers. Therefore, it makes the whole world uneasy. And of course, it is not a development that can be evaluated only within the framework of India-Pakistan bilateral relations.